Muffled drums and heartbreak, a gospel of grief. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone, silence the pianos, and with muffled drum, bring out the coffin, let the mourners come. Let airplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, he is dead. W.H. Auden. 5 stages of grief. Denial. You are not alone. Grieving is perhaps the most collective thing we do. The pageantry and the pomp, the circumstance and the ceremony, there is nothing more human, not even dying. Communities aren't born, they are made. Oftentimes by a shared experience, learned norm by norm, soccer moms and country clubs, VFWs and places of worship. But when death is not the norm, the learning curve feels steep enough to jump off of. Too overwhelming to climb without a net, without a rope, without wings, without a hand to hold. Especially when the hand you would normally hold in this very situation is currently and permanently unavailable. Anger. In these circles, we are careful to remove anything that serves as a reminder, like empty chairs. As folks arrive, they'll grab a chair from the stack right beside the name tags and fill in. We don't trigger memories here, we diffuse them. Carefully untether red and blue wiring to keep the head and heart intact. We do not have to detonate ourselves. There is a way to dance with the flashbacks as opposed to avoiding the inevitability of them like a head-on collision. We apprentice in the art of walking away from the mushroom cloud in one piece. And though it feels surreal, there is no magic involved. There's our reality as we know it before being bereaved, the entirely different reality we step into ever after. A blink, the only portal between the dimensions of yesterday and tomorrow. It's maddening to relieve one of their sanity and their spouse on the same day. It feels like robbery. It feeds despair. However, here we specialize in controlled demolitions so that the hollow left inside does not implode us and take the entire neighborhood in its wake. Loss is just another 4-letter word for love. It does not have to be toxic. We do not have to allow it to eat us from the inside out. Bargaining. As far as customs go, I think New Orleans does it right. A second line rather than a funeral procession. A second life. A celebration. Less finish line, more victory lap. Even after the clock stops. New Mexico is a close second. Dia de los Muertos, an offering of remembrance. Gentler than a wake on the loved ones left behind. Maybe it's just time. The difference between then and now, between ancestor and the recently deceased, an altar all by itself. Wearing grandma's perfume and grandpa's favorite food, tobacco and rum, because cancer may have taken his body but not his spirit. Maybe even a record. Carolina chocolate drops leaving Eden. Grandma's favorite song. These are the wishes of the recently and not so recently deceased, an understanding that we desperately need each other, that the family still gathers after they are gone. And without their clout as convener, a parade or a grief center will do just fine. Depression. The house feels a size too big, and it talks in its sleep. To me, when I'm awake, calling your name. The TV won't watch itself. The dogs won't feed themselves. These meals won't eat themselves. And here I am, trying to find all the ways to love myself after you are gone. Talking to myself as though you are still here. And you are. Telling me how to survive you. Telling me that there is not enough room in that coffin for the both of us. Telling me that help is waiting to do its job, arms open. Telling me I'll have to leave this house to find it. To find you. Acceptance, a Mandingo Guinea proverb. Sometimes when we lose a person, we find a tribe. In a wilderness of woe, trees silently falling all around us, desperately in need of a sound, a sign, or someone to corroborate all this silence. This kind of grief feels personal and inevitable at the same time, like a wet robe everyone has to wear, that we would wear for another if we could. But we can't. We can only summon the strength to get dressed and face the future. Fill his and her shoes with family and friends. Fill the void with laughter as a legacy to a life well lived, as gratitude for the time granted, as opposed to bemoaning what was never ours to begin with. Healing all the wounds on the inside that even time can't fix. Surviving the guilt of surviving. Making peace with the idea of our own deaths, yet waging war against the dying of those we love. And ultimately, understanding that war only ends one way.